my name is Sara Wallace, and I'm a student here at Oklahoma State University. With our remodeling project, we're going to be removing the small fruit and moving them down to the vegetable garden temporarily. So these are our blueberry plants, and the first step I took was to go ahead and mark them. I found the design that we hopefully had written down the correct varieties, and went ahead and labeled them all so that as we move them, we know which varieties are actually doing well and which varieties are not. This is actually a blue-ray, and we are going to go ahead and prune it right before we move it so that number one, it's less weight to actually carry, and number two, because we're disturbing the root system, we want to go ahead and remove some of the top so that it balances it out, so it gives it a chance of actually living and thriving and hopefully producing more blueberries for us. So as you prune blueberries, we're going to take off at least a third. We always want to start with crossing branches. This branch right here has some dead material on the top, and I'm going to always try to cut to an outward bud. This one would be called a deranged because it would rub over against another branch. So we're going to cut it way back. Try to do this all the way around. Here's some more ones that would be rubbing on each other. So we would actually go ahead and cut it way back. And the last cut. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and dig around the base about 1 foot away from it and just straight down. Sort of a little bit angled in towards the bottom of the roots. Blueberries are shallow rooted. They should be about 8 to 12 inches deep, but they do not have a tap root. So supposedly, this is going to be easy to move. You'll notice that we have pine needles on top to help reduce our pH, as well as we have these great pecan shells as a mulch that work great to decrease the acidity and keep the pH low for the blueberries. And as I go around, I'm trying to kind of open it up with the shovel so that I can decrease any roots that are stuck. And then hopefully I'll be able to just bend over and pick up a blueberry. Okay, and here we are, ready in its new home. This is in a vegetable garden. I've already dug out my hole, and with the acidity needing to be so low, we dug out some of our soil and replaced it with peat moss and the pecan shells. Some of them had already been really well decomposed. So I'm gonna arrange it a little bit, move around. I see that it's still a little bit high. You can see if I can move it around a little bit more. And then I'm gonna go ahead and backfill it with the pecan shells and the compost. The biggest issue with the blueberries is the soil and their pH, but then they're really picky about the water. And our blueberry fact sheet is HLA 6248. They recommend 4 to 6 inches of mulch on top of the actual blueberry base. So I'm going to push this in. Then I would water it in well. You can tell that we have a mound, sort of like on the hill. I want to make sure that none of my roots are sticking out on the side and that are exposed. And then I would water this in, and then I would go ahead and put mulch on it too. I'm going to try to do a pyramid like they suggest. And this is really important to keep the soil moisture very moist. Blueberries are really picky with their acidity and their moisture levels. They like to be moist, but if they're wet for even more than 24 hours, they'll die. They're really, really picky. So I'm going to bound this up. It probably looks like I need a little bit more. Then you can see that we have our drip irrigation. We will just put it back up around. And then in the summertime, it may even be wise to put more compost on top. The best thing for blueberries in the summertime is to have evaporative cooling on their roots. They need to have mulch on top and then the irrigation on top, and so that it slowly soaks through to keep them moist. So here I'm going to add another little bit of mulch. These are actually our pecan shells. And since we're in Oklahoma, if you all live near a processing plant for the pecans, this is kind of like a waste product. But for us, this is recycling. And it's great acidity. You can tell how dark it is. It's broken down really well. And this is just going to be a great top dressing for both the blueberries and a lot of our other plants here in the vegetable garden. So here you have it as our transplanted blueberry. We're going to water it in well. And then for the first couple of weeks, we're going to probably water it daily just to make sure that it's doing really well. This is a really good, well-drained soil. It's going to have 6 to 8 hours of sun a day, and it's ready to take off. Obviously, if you were doing a new bed, you would want to buy new virus-free plants, but since we already had the plants, they've been doing well, we're going to try the experiment in transplanting them.